Now introducing the Minor Wisdom Trio!
Minor Wisdom!
Episode 200. Yeah! Should get one of these. Maybe a little, where is it? Maybe one of these. No, that's not what I want. Maybe one of these. There it is. Episode 200, baby. You can hear the excitement. There it is. You can hear the excitement in my voice. But 200 episodes. This is a pre-COVID podcast. PPC, baby. No, PCP. That's probably not as politically correct, but this is a PCP, pre-COVID podcast, around for 4 years. It's crazy. This podcast has been around for 4 years, and this is episode 200, and it's a good one. It's my first triple guest. I've had Destyne Miller now on 3 times, and 3 different times too. It wasn't like I split one up into 2. I've had her now on 3 times, and it's this one's good. Now I've got to tell you, don't listen with the kids. Not that the content is bad, but there are some F-bombs dropped. It is not it's explicit when it comes to the F-bombs. We were in a bar at Bullpen Pizza, which is in Fort Bend, in the Fort Bend district and Fort Bend County, and it's one of the best places to eat in the city of Houston. They have the best wings in the city of Houston, bar none, easily, pardon the pun, and they have really good pizza. Didn't pay me for this. I'm just telling you, if you want the best wings in all of Houston, Texas, go to Bullpen Pizza. It's not too far from Dulles High School, but it's where myself and Nancy Lynch and Destyne Miller go quite often, and in this case, it was just Destyne and I, and this is kind of her farewell to the classroom. She's off to Yale in August, off to Yale for 3 years to get an MFA in directing. And then those of you that actually know Destyne, not those of you that are like, I saw one of her shows and I said hi to her, but those of you that actually know Destyne are going to reap the benefits of her success as a director, because I know I'm already auditioning for roles of shows that she's going to direct. I don't know what shows those are, but I just know that if she doesn't cast me, then friendship over, right? And that's just how it is, right? That's how petty theater is. So I was super excited. This is an old school way of me recording. I used to do this quite a bit, where I'd set up a microphone in some random place, sometimes a bar, sometimes a coffee shop, sometimes in like Kendra Willoughby's case, it was like a food court type area, different places. This is that kind of thing. This is old school. No Zoom, no Google Meets, no nothing. So that's right. Episode 200. Really excited about it. And I don't know how long I'm going to go. I've got 2 more in the can. So 202. And I saw Mel and she was asking me how long I'm going to go. And I was like, I'll just keep going. It's whatevs. The original plan when I came back was to record quite a bit through Techland. And those of you that are in the know about what's going on at Techland, then you're in the know. If you're not in the know, then, reach out to me privately. But things at Techland have changed dramatically. So I don't think I'm going to be doing anything with them anytime soon. But there are some other things that are happening and that I'm super excited about. Some through Covenant, some not. Just by chance, I was DM'd by a friend that's doing something that's kind of a cool opportunity that if it comes to a head, then I'll talk about it here. And if it doesn't, then I'll talk about it here too and how it fell through. But I'm like really, honestly, like super excited about where things are right now. I didn't record the intro last week before Drowsy ended, but Drowsy Chaperone ended last Sunday. And I got to tell you, I miss it. Like I haven't missed something this hard since my parents passed away. I miss the people that I was with. I miss the show. I miss the feeling of being on stage. I miss all of it. and I shouldn't. I hate that I miss it because I was very adamant about this is a one and done. I'm not doing this ever again. I might have lied. So I might do it again just because it was fun, and it might be sooner than later. So whatever. I have a great wife because she allows me to do these things. But speaking of great wives, I hope everybody's having a good week. It is Summerfest week for TXCTA. I will not be there. Katie Cross will be there. Go see her stuff. It's very important stuff. I will be at TXCTA, which I did figure out, because TXCTA, I think, maybe I could be wrong about this, but I feel like it's always like the third week of September, not the last week rolling into October or weekend, but I realized it's on the weekend of a very close family friend's wedding, and that's a struggle of a decision, right? Do you go to the wedding, which happens to be out of state on the East Coast, or do you go to TXCTA with your brand new company and do what you need to do, be the face that you're supposed to be, the network, all that kind of stuff? Both are things I want to do. But I think I've made my decision. So, but that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. So it'd be interesting to hear what other people would do in that situation. Not to go to TXCTA or not, but to go to TXCTA when you have become, just joined a brand new company. It's, career wise, it's, a big deal. So anyway, that's enough with that. You're not here to listen to me. Those of you that do, Bobby, thank you. You're here to listen to the Destyne Miller. She's a star. She's amazing. I did keep some things in that maybe I shouldn't have. Like, we ordered food. I left it in. I don't care. And I made a couple of little cuts. But remember, if your kids are around, the F-bombs dropped a couple times. So also, if you're listening to this with your kids, like, I'm not going to say you're a bad parent, but what a boring parent. Like, this is a niche podcast for Texas theater educators, and you're like, hey, kids, let's gather around the fireplace and listen to some of these minor wisdom, or as was said online, Billy Minor. Yeah, so anyway, have fun. Enjoy Destiny. Leave a rating. Leave a 5-star. Leave all the good things. I appreciate you guys. All right. Bye. Enjoy. Have a good week. Bye. Have fun at Summerfest. Okay, bye.
I told my principal 2 years ago, actually, I was like, I got 12 to 24 months left. And she was like,
expiration date tattooed on you?
And she was like, what are you going to be doing? What are you going to do next? I said, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. It's feeling like something is pushing me. But I told her that I wouldn't leave for another high school.
Right.
Like, I would leave for something that was like worth leaving, because I love my school and my kids and my admin. And I had no idea what would be that thing.
Yeah.
And getting into Yale was that thing.
Well, when did you figure out what the thing could be?
So the first thing is that job in Gary leaving U of H was a thing.
Yeah.
And I even had to decide, like, is that a thing that I actually want? Like, is that the pathway that I want to, like,
People wanted
take?
you there. It doesn't mean that you wanted to be there.
Yeah, and I applied for it, and I wasn't. I even in applying for it, I still wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And then, like, my kids and I were, like, sitting around the table, and they're, like, applying for colleges and scholarships and all these things. And they're like, Miller, you going to open that Yale application? Like, what do you mean? They're like, you keep talking about it, And so I opened it. And, like, the filling it out part was probably the scariest thing. And, like, I could do, like, doing the resume, doing the, like, letters of rec, all of that stuff was actually the easy part. For some reason, the statement of purpose, like, had me in a chokehold. I don't know, I think, like, when you're 18, doing, like, a statement of purpose, like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess, like, when it was something that I really wanted, And then thinking about like the word purpose and how much I feel like that is like driven.
Well, yeah, you know the meaning of purpose.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're 18, you don't know the meaning of purpose.
You're like, I just want to go to college
right,
and,
right.
do that. And so like trying to write a statement of purpose
Yeah.
was probably the most difficult and daunting,
Right.
intimidating, scary,
Vulnerable.
very much so. And also deciding how honest I was going to be in that statement of purpose. Because you don't know who's going to read
Did you feel
it.
like you had anything to lose, though?
So I don't like failure and I don't like rejection.
Sure.
And so I never wanted to feel like I wasn't good enough.
Right. So your pride felt like it could lose something.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Like absolutely. Yeah. Like it wasn't even the and I don't know this, but like just the fear of getting rejected, and what that meant to me, what that particular rejection would mean to me, I think was what I had to lose.
So you jokingly said "fuck education" at the very beginning, 5 minutes ago, but do you personally think, right? And as I literally just told you a tweet about HISD superintendent, do you think it's a Texas thing?
I think it's an American
Okay.
thing for sure, and then go into Texas
Right.
and then multiply that, you know, because I like it's amazing how like we look back on history and there's clearly a right side and a wrong side to history. And I feel like we're in that very same moment, and there is a clear right side and wrong side to history. And like, fuck, like Texas is really on the wrong side of history again.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how, y'all don't even want to apologize? I don't know how much I can cuss on this.
I don't care.
Okay, great. I don't know how much, like, they already don't want to apologize for the shit that's happened in the past centuries. Like, y'all want to add more stuff onto the stuff that you got to apologize for? Like, good God.
Yeah. So, then, this is a loaded question. But, so, okay. I just had this conversation with another director yesterday. I will not put their name on here. Who was talking about the numbers, like every department, theater department, the numbers are going down significantly.
Like students or teachers?
Students.
Okay.
Well,
both.
I guess both. But student numbers are going down, which is also then contributing to the lack of need for teachers.
Correct.
But also teachers are leaving for a reason, which doesn't help anyway, it's a whole like paradox kind of thing. But is there? I don't know what the question is.
I'm gonna say this. So like, if football were to have won state last year, they would have 1 million people trying out for the football team, right? Because that is something worthy of spending your time on and yada yada yada. We won state last year, and like I'm begging boys to be in the program, and I literally had a boy so talented, sophomore, and a boy that was a senior, so talented, football player. Both of them go, oh my God, miss, this would be so cool, but like honestly, I just want to sit at home. Like I don't want any responsibility. Like I don't want to like commit to something. Like, and I appreciate their honesty. Like I'm glad they didn't take the role and then like quit showing up and leave us in like a lurch. But genuinely, they don't feel like it's worth their time and effort. And even one year I had a guy go, I know how much I would love this. And I don't want to get like hooked.
Right. Is it because they don't see the reason reason behind, like the like benefit in 10, 15, 20 years of doing something like that?
What kid sees 10 to 15
Well-
years down the line that's not monetary value?
Right, but also the whole like CTE right now is a big push. You know, they're pushing. So there are. It's not necessarily. I guess it's not the kid as much as it is also the parent.
Oh.
So the parent is saying, well, if you take this mechanics class, if you take this career sort of themed class, it'll help you find a job. You know, in however many years. So is it that they don't find, and it could be the parents, and I'm sure it is the parent in a lot of situations.
I think very few people that are not in the arts find the value of the arts beyond its entertaining purposes. That's first and foremost. And then secondly, even the parents that, and I'm going to talk about my school specifically, even my parents there, you know what I mean? Like, they'll love for their kid to be in theater for 4 years because we keep them busy.
Right.
They know exactly where they are at all times. They're out of trouble. You know, we hold them accountable for grades. But I just had a person come out to their parents about being a theater major for college. And it was an all-out drag-down fight with their parents. And they still don't have the support.
Right.
But they're still going for it anyway. Because according to their parents, this was a hobby.
Right.
Yeah, do it for 4 years. But don't fall in love with it.
Right.
I mean, it's like Bridgerton, right?
Don't
like,
get it pregnant. Don't get
yes.
it pregnant. Yeah.
Queen Charlotte. Don't.
Oh my gosh, Jennifer's obsessed with that right now. Yeah, that's that is kind of funny. Coming out as a mom and dad, I'm a theater major.
Yeah, you know, but it's really like that is so. I think I go through that every single year with students.
Yeah. Do you? So like, I'm gonna ask a very candid question.
Go for it.
Is it a cultural thing?
Yes, very much so, especially amongst like immigrant
Okay.
families.
So like literally like a first generation.
Yeah, because I mean, and it's such a. My earring just fell down my shirt. Hey, but it's the idea that like we came over here for you to have.
Fulfill the American dream.
Yes,
Yeah.
all of these opportunities,
And you're
but
gonna be an actor.
yes, like you're choosing to be poor. Like
Yeah.
we came all the way over here for you to be poor. Although they all watch TV and you know love Netflix and and I'm not going to say they don't see the value that has been poured into their student, but it's no different from just like American born and raised kids and parents that are like, make sure you have a double major.
Right.
Because you still need to make money.
Something to fall back on.
Yeah. But I also think that the other thing that goes against people in pursuit of the arts is what people deem as successful in this particular profession, right? Like, do I have to be Viola Davis to be
considered a success? Right?
Yeah. Like, do they have to win Tonys and Oscars to be successful actors?
Right.
Like, one of the things that like we talk about, I'll talk to my kids about is like, I need you before you decide to choose this as like what you want to do. I need you to define what success means for you in this field, because I feel like I'm successful in this field.
Right.
I don't have a Tony. I don't have an Oscar. You know, I have a UIL championship and some Babers and some thespian awards.
Hey, those Babers mean a lot. So then,
They do.
So then, question to you then: what is your definition of success from here on out?
I want to be able to sustain my lifestyle doing what I love.
Okay.
But that's also why I became a theater teacher, because I would be able to sustain my lifestyle doing what I love. Granted, I also had to do like the education part of it.
Yeah.
But that's something that I could deal with because I had from, 2 p.m. to whatever time we get out of rehearsals for doing the part that that fulfills me the most.
So then, what if you are not, which you will be, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
What if you are not successful in what you hope to be doing, but you are still sustaining a lifestyle that supports you and your son? And,
what do you mean?
Like,
give me.
So let's say you don't go off to be a director.
Yeah.
Let's say it morphs into something. I mean, right now I don't know why, but I'm thinking like dramaturg. Like you become something that you didn't necessarily see yourself becoming.
Yeah.
Are you open to that? Or do you want to be a director?
I want to be a director.
Yeah. But is that part of the success? Is what I guess what I'm asking.
I think yes. I think for me, like I don't know. I know that I'm about to spend about a year before I direct.
Right.
Something like a big
you don't
project
know anything
again.
yet.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the idea.
Ultimately,
it's like, learn our way.
The first year, I take like 15 classes,
right.
And they're across all disciplines, and so, but they start making room for directing.
What do you mean across all? Like, you're not taking like math, are you?
No, I mean like all
okay.
theater disciplines.
It's gonna be like back in calculus.
If they put me back in a math class, listen, I fail already.
Anyway, all right.
No, but I have to do like design classes and dramaturgy classes and playwriting classes and acting classes.
Theater history.
Yeah. But yes, and so like, who knows what passion I'll find in that. Like, I know that I was a lighting designer in one of my lives because I love it. Like, I love looking at. Now, can I work a board properly? No, that's why I call you.
Designer's different than programmer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But like the idea of all of that, like genuinely interests me. Right. Like when Jenna's not there and I get to go to her light board and like play, it excites me. But like directing is, I feel it's my thing.
Right.
Like I have a knack for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know when I became confident enough to say that I have a knack for it.
You don't know when?
I really don't. Like, I don't know when I was like, I am a pretty damn good director.
So do you think, like, for instance, this year was unique because it was a play you wrote. But do you think that it has to do with the play first for you? Like if I were to say, turning chicken shit into chicken salad, right?
Yeah.
If I were to hand you just some random ass play, would you be able to direct the hell out of it, or do you need the play to also be something that you are? When you get to Yale,
I think that I have.
And they hand you Stand and Deliver. I don't know. That's a bad example, but
I was
like,
thinking
anything Neil Simon. They hand you Neil Simon, right?
Yeah.
And are you still gonna have the confidence to direct a Neil Simon as you would with a show that you connected with, fell in love with?
The answer to that I'm gonna say is I do think I'll have. In that respect, I don't think confidence is the thing. I think the puzzle is the thing.
I don't know, my voice keeps cracking.
It does. What are you, 13?
My bar mitzvah.
No, but I really think that part of the reason why I love directing so much is because I love solving puzzles. And so for me, that would be a challenge. Okay. And I don't like to fail or be rejected. And so do I think that it would probably end up being my best work?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. But the fact that I wouldn't want it to be my worst work
Right.
is going to be the reason that
That makes sense. But you're such a
I like
storyteller, though.
I am, and I think I have the ability to find the story in everything. Like we did Clue this year. That was not like
Yeah, high theater,
like that's not anything that I went in search of. Like, you know, I've been through like 12 tech directors in my TD this year wanted to do Clue, and so I needed to keep him.
Yeah.
So we were going to do Clue.
What do you get? What do you want? Timmy, what do you want?
Damn it, Timmy.
Okay, Timmy.
You taking orders?
Because I can tell him what I want. But like, even in Clue, like, we found ways to be like, although this is hilarious, like, who are you in this?
Right.
Like, there's always truth in every piece of theater.
I kind of want to be directed by you in a comedy because.
Oh, I'm funny.
No. It's not that. It's that like comedies don't necessarily have all the depth that like a drama has, right? And so it would be fun for you to say like do 3 weeks of table work for a comedy.
Okay, so yeah, we didn't do 3 weeks of table work for Clue. But what I do find is that if you have some type of like, let me say this. What I love the most about table work, and I think this works across every genre, is that table work gives you a foundation from which all your choices get to be made.
Yeah, right.
And so every time my kids in Clue made a choice, and I asked them, why'd you do that? They would have to tie it back to like what we've already discussed or something that they've discovered along the way, so that they're not just on stage trying to be funny. Like, the funny comes in the fact that this particular character is this particular type of stock character that does these particular set of things. And so when you do that, the audience immediately knows exactly why that would come from you.
I'm dealing with that literally right now because, you know, I'm in this musical.
Yeah.
And my character is this stick-up-the-ass butler type thing. And I keep trying to tell my director, and mind you, this is a theater that was founded on youth, like children's theater, but they've since developed into an adult, you know. But my character doesn't do the cheesy dance moves and the grapevines and things, so like really jazzy and all that. My character just moves those directions.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily buy into the dance. And I keep trying to tell her, like, this guy would not do this stuff.
Well, do you buy in at the end? Because that would be funny.
So I buy in during my song with my love song, my love story song. That's when I buy in. And I feel like that makes sense, right? But the whole time up to that moment, I keep trying to say, no. During this song, I would just be kind of standing there. I'm the guy that's like standing straight up while everybody's down on their, like bouncing on their knees. And you just see that character standing there, moving a little bit, starting to feel it, but not.
But would never like disgrace himself
and
in
that's
his
the comedy.
Yeah.
That's because that character is still doing it, but not. You know, and like, but you have to stay true to that character, because if I believe that everything I'm doing is honest, the audience will start to laugh. They'll start to like buy in.
Because that's where funny comes from.
Exactly. So, but I've got to also not laugh. That's a whole other story. But you know, but it's like my point is I agree with like the character has to find themselves so that the audience can kind of laugh with you, not at you.
And honestly, that's why I think comedies are harder.
Oh, they're much harder.
Because people want to be funny.
Yeah.
And it's not about being funny.
Yeah.
Like, and I think when you try to be funny, that's where you miss the timing.
Right.
Where, like, you just got to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
The funny's gonna come.
As long as you believe what you're doing, the funny will kind of manifest itself. Okay. So then, when you look back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be able to answer this question, but like when you look back at your, how many years in education? 15?
13.
13.
13.
Okay. 13 years, almost 15. 13 years in education. Do you look back at that as a successful? Do you define that as successful?
Very much.
Okay. And
I
why?
do. Oh my gosh, for a number of reasons, actually. One, the relationships I've created, like middle school and high school, I still...
Where are your first middle schoolers now? Like, I mean, they're adults.
Married.
Yeah. But I mean, they're... So your first middle schoolers are mid to late 20s, right? You're sixth grader.
They're mid. Like,
Yeah.
my first sixth graders just graduated college maybe like a year or two ago.
Okay.
Like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's funny. Anyway.
2 or 3 years ago, something
So
like that.
the relationship.
Yeah, and so like for instance, it may have been last summer or early fall, one of my former first middle schoolers in Sugar Land Middle School like called me and was like, hey, can we go get dinner? And we go to sit down and get dinner, and she tells me she's graduated from college and all these things, and she's getting back into acting. And she's like, and I just wanted to talk to you about that, and I've been singing more, and yada yada. She's like, I don't know if I thought that I would ever come back to it, but like here I am, and like
She came out to you?
yeah, she came out to me. And so like I think that that's really cool.
Right.
You know, I think that that's successful when you impact people enough that if they decide to continue doing it, you're part of that influence. I think that the other part of that success is that I haven't done lesson plans in like 10 years.
Yeah, so not to get you off that question, but do you, and I know the answer to this because you and I are friends, but
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you on the record. Do you find yourself to be a successful director, successful educator, successful mentor? All three? Two of the three?
I'm a successful,
You're a successful director.
I think successful director and mentor are the top two. A successful educator. It depends on
What you define as education.
yes.
Yeah.
So like we know Megan Wallace.
Yeah.
She's a fucking brilliant educator.
Yeah. She's a classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. I am.
And a horrible person.
She's the worst.
Yeah, right. On the record. The absolute. Anyway.
Kidding, Megan. But I think that I think I'm a successful educator in that I allow myself the freedom to find ways to educate my students.
Right.
If the right conservative person listens to this,
Right.
come for me. I'm no longer in the classroom.
I know who he is. Anyway, continue.
But like.
The school is at stake. Continue.
But genuinely, like my first year of teaching,
Yeah.
I did not teach textbook theater. I was dealing with kids that were getting jumped into gangs and had families in middle school. Like when I say families, I mean like, you know, they had their own kids.
Right.
And so like, what is textbook theater about to do for you?
Right.
And instead, I found ways for it to be theater, but in ways that they would be able to buy into it and the things that they would enjoy, so that at least they wanted to come to my class every day, that maybe I could keep them in school, you know, make them want to show up. And then, like, doing poetry units with my kids throughout the years, giving them outlets and finding their voices and figuring out who they are, and then having the confidence to know that your parents aren't going to support you and you're going to follow through with what is important to you anyway, because you have that confidence and feel that strongly about yourself and what you can do for yourself. I think that all of those ways as classroom teacher I've been very successful at.
So, I always told my kids it was life coach. Mm-hmm. Is that more of what you're talking about?
Yes, and I taught theater along the way. And
But it wasn't textbook.
not in my first year. Like at Sugarland Middle School, I got to do more textbook.
Yeah. Did you want to do textbook though?
No,
Yeah,
I just said more textbook. The only time I've ever given out like worksheets was like if I had a sub.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. That's when you have to tell the kids if you know you're going to be absent.
Yeah.
You got to say, hey, look, you got to work with me.
Please. Or, but the other beautiful thing is that I've always had administrators that understood that I'm not a textbook teacher. Also, I would always tell them that I'm a teacher fourth. And so my principal now, Ms. James, when she comes and evaluates me, she expects to see something out of her norm, but what she knows what she will see is me doing not a lot.
Right. Yeah, your kids are that's what I think I said that to you way back in the day, or maybe I didn't. It's you and Joy, not you and Joy. You and Joy Hughes are the only two people that I've ever come to help where I came to the class, or I was there when the class started, right? And you guys didn't do anything, but your kids walked in and like clockwork.
Yes.
They knew exactly what to do, when to do it, how long to do it for. There was more with Joy than your kids. Your kids were very ensemble. Joy had a leader. Maybe it was a leader for the week, that kind of thing. But and that's middle school.
Yeah.
But there was this you didn't have to do or say anything. Now, mind you, months before, if this was August, I probably would have seen something different.
Yeah.
But I don't know it was probably towards a show, so October, November. But it was same with Joy. It was for middle school one act play for her.
Yeah.
So it was October for her. So the kids already boom, boom, boom. And I am dealing with this at my school right now that I'm about to leave, so I'll say it, is the idea that my boss doesn't believe in student technicians being the ones that are trusted to run shows or run events or run different things, right? And I am the complete
opposite of that,
where if the kids aren't running things, I haven't
done your job.
But it's because it's a private school, and if the kid screws up, the parent might say, "Hey, I'm paying for this. Why is my student? Why are they experiencing something that has a flub?" Newsflash, adults screw up too.
Yeah.
So, but my point is I agree with you that when Miss James comes in, but you also have to. Miss James is a unique administrator.
I love her so much.
And I know some of us have those administrators. I had one my first year teaching, which spoiled the hell out of me. Dr. Hammerly, she was amazing. That have to be open-minded and also understand what they don't understand.
Yes.
They have to be able to see and witness that you are doing your job and that they don't understand what your job is.
Yeah.
But if your kids aren't throwing shit on the walls and beating each other up and, playing on their phones or whatever, then you're doing your job.
I think that talking about student ownership, I was, it wasn't until my first freshman at Bush became my first senior that I understood just how valuable that student ownership thing is and what the process of our program was. And it boiled down to this. Freshmen come in and they are supposed to love our program. Yeah. We literally have it so that freshmen are celebrated their whole freshman year. They're learning a lot, but they're having a blast, right? And then your sophomore year, you're no longer a freshman. So that attention that you've been getting is about to go back to the next freshman, right? But now you're starting to stand on your own, and now you're going to have to really start taking in the training and the information. Your junior year, you're up, like, hands are off. Nobody's babying you anymore at all. We're definitely not holding hands. And you are having to apply your training.
Are you also training to be a senior?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's the next part, right?
Yeah.
This really came from watching Jordan Okeke, because he's the perfect example of this. Freshman year was his favorite year. Like, he loved it, and all freshmen love it. And then sophomore year, he did a lot of watching and taking in. And junior year, his first year where he had like a legitimate role, watching him struggle with like taking all of the information that he's learned over the past 2 years and being able to put them into action. Watching him do that and watching him like figure it out. And then when he figured it out, amazing. And then his senior year, I just watched this junior like struggle with like trying to make these choices and, okay, I have this training, how do I put this in? Because she has other freshmen and sophomore to work on right now, so I need to be able to do this. I need to start doing this. I need to start doing this. And then getting him to senior year, and the last part of his training was watching him pour that back into the freshmen and the sophomores and the juniors. Like, there was so much that I didn't have to do because my seniors, and to this day, Jordan's been gone for two years now, but this is what they do now. Like, before auditions, the day before auditions, they have a workshop where anybody that wants to work on their monologues show up, and they set up stations and they'll work each other's monologues. Like, they're not all going for the same roles. But if you're a freshman and you don't know what you're doing, come, we're going to help you out. If you're a senior and you don't know if you're making the right choices, we're going to watch each other. But like, the confidence that they have senior year to pour back into, you know, their classmates and the underclassmen, and then just to watch that cycle happen over and over and over again. Like, the student ownership of that makes my job so easy. So very. Now, the other side of that is they feel like senior year they know everything. So I probably argue with the seniors. Yeah, I argue with them more than I argue with anybody. But ultimately, by the time that they leave, although they've driven me crazy all year, the arguments were definitely worth it.
That's funny. What are you most afraid of?
All of it. Like, all of it. I had called Aaron Brown for something, and he was like, I just want to congratulate you on everything. And he goes, and it's so funny, he goes, I just want to say this to you. Whenever I decided to go back, to quit teaching and go back to school at Baylor, he goes, I called my mentor and go, am I blowing my life up? Did I just blow my life up? And he goes, my mentor told me, yes, you did, but it'll all be worth it. He goes, so I want to tell you, yes, you are blowing your life up. And yes, it will all be worth it, because there are days where I'm going like, I'm literally not about to have a job, and I have a child. I'm like, there are just so many things that, like, the life that I've been really comfortable with, I'm literally closing the book on that, and I don't know what's going to happen next. And that's the scariest part, is not knowing. Like, I remember, I've said so many times to people, like, if the right people would just see my work. The right people. Well, now the right people are about to see my work. And then what if I've been like boosting my head all these years, and the right people see my work and they're like, meh, you know? So all of it is scary. All of it is very scary. It's funny because, like, I hadn't quite finished my application, and I was at TXCTA, and I'm talking to Paula, and she was like, she was talking to me about our UIL show last year, and then she was like, hey, have you ever thought about, like, applying to Yale? And she had no idea that I'd started the application. I was like, oh, funny. I've like started the application. She was like, well, yeah. She was like, I think that you would be a great fit there. If you want, I'll write a letter of recommendation for you. And I was like, okay. And that was scary, just getting that kind of like validation in the process that I was doing. And so, like, she like believed in me for that. And then when I was at my callback and they had asked me one question and they were like, you've been teaching for 13 years, why now? And I got all emotional, which I'm not gonna do today. But they asked me that, and like I had to be completely honest in the fact that every year I remember telling like Michael Duran, like, yeah, go audition for Juilliard. But the worst they could say is no. Yeah, Abdullah, go audition for NYU. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You know? And I'm like feeding my kids the confidence to like audition and go for their dream schools. And, you know, Michael's like a finalist and Abdullah gets in and Yusuf gets into Cal Arts and Atara gets into like everybody's getting what they want. Right. And I'm just continuously watching this and very, very happy for them. And the more it kept happening, the more I kept feeling like a fraud because I'm like, this is something that I've always wanted.
That's something you need to tell yourself.
Yeah, and I wasn't. But they're telling me, by the way,
right.
Like yearly I'm getting either calls from Avery and Michael or Nelson and Abdullah, and they're like, why are you still at Bush? And I'm like, first of all, it's easy for you to say that now that you've graduated. Because if I would have left when you were still here, sir, you'd be really upset.
Guys are good?
Can we order some stuff? Is that all right? Do you need to, like, you want to put, okay. First of all, I'll do another Modelo.
And I'll do another Dos Equis.
And then you want to do, do you want to eat? Or you?
I'll probably eat like 2 of your wings.
All right, we'll do 20 wings. Half lemon pepper. Oh yeah. Not as many today, but half lemon pepper, and then your menu is more colorful now.
Yeah.
And then half mango habanero.
Hey, you might want to watch that guy. He's saying. Okay, ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
All right, you got it.
But yeah, I always felt like I didn't want to feel like a fraud anymore. I've been telling them to be brave.
Right.
And more importantly, they kept holding me accountable. Like, they're like, I know what your potential is. Michael Duran, whether he knows how much he influences or not, we were on the phone in the fall, like early this school year, and he was like, yeah, so I was talking to one of my professors, and they had asked me, you know, like, something about like my training or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I trained with Destyne Miller. And they were like, oh, who is that? And he was like, oh, that's my mentor. Have you ever heard of her? And he said, they were like, no, I haven't heard that name yet. And he was like, oh, don't worry, you will. And this was back in like September, and I'm like, Michael, stop it, like, cut it out. And he's like, no, but real shit, Destiny, because he calls me Destiny all the time, so that he can like, solidify that in his mind. But he's like, no, real shit, Destiny, like they are going to know you. And I'm like, he's like, I can't wait for the day that you call me, like, so I gotta tell you about this opportunity. And I'll be like, yeah, I already know about it because I got it for you. And then I just want to hang up on you because I want to feel like and I just laugh. But like the way that I poured into them, like they have like given that back to me tenfold. And so like even the fear of like failing for them, like is scary. For all the people that believe in me, whatever that means.
Yeah, I mean, I only know of like 2 or 3, but so that's good. You wouldn't let a lot of people down.
Just like 2.
That's funny. Why Yale?
So when I was in college, when I was graduating in college, my department head then was like, I think you should audition for Yale because I'm a pretty decent actress. Although I don't want to do that ever again. But
You will be.
I'm sure at some point, which is fine. It's always nice to get back in the position that you keep putting people in, just so you can remember what that's like. But and so like I remember going to that audition, not knowing, before he said that, I didn't know Yale drama as it is, you know? So I started doing my research and I was like, oh shit, like this is like Yale.
Yeah.
So like I go to this audition fucking unprepared as all get out. Bomb it. I'm sure I bombed it. There were thousands of people there, but like I feel like they probably tuned out after the first 20 seconds. And they were just like smiling and nodding through my audition. And so ever since I didn't get it then, like it's been eating at me because again, I hate failure and I hate rejection. So when I knew I wanted to go back to school to get an MFA in directing, I thought about Yale and I thought about DePaul in Chicago. And those were really the only two schools that I wanted to go to. And so, but Yale was the only one that I finished the application for. And so when I go to my callback, there are 12 of us in this callback. Well, I'm gonna go back. The first thing, they call you and say, hey, we've set you up on an interview, a Zoom interview, where you get to pick a play, your dream project that you've never done, and then you're gonna like pitch it to us and talk to us about it. And I was like, I work at Bush, I've done all my dream projects. I've gotten to do everything I've ever wanted to do. So I had to find one, which I did. And so they did like 3 weeks worth of interviews with people, I guess. And out of that, they choose 12 that they fly into New Haven. And you have to pick a scene prior to going. They send you 5, you pick one, and you direct 2 of their actors for 30 minutes. They don't expect you to finish, they just want to see your process. And then the last 30 minutes is an interview with them. And so, like, being there and doing that and getting there was like, it was crazy. Because you don't know what they're looking for. You don't know what they want.
You have to be you.
That's all they're looking for. And I'm like prefacing everything, right? Even when I first met the 2 actors, I'm like, you guys, if I start teaching you, it's an occupational hazard, so please don't be like annoyed with the fact that like, because for some reason, like being on that large of a scale made me want to apologize for being like a high school theater teacher, just because I know what the perception is. You know, it's the floating teacher with the scarves and the flowy skirts on Disney Channel. Yeah, you know? Yeah. And so, like, I didn't want to be seen as, oh, the high school theater director. But I will say this, and then I don't know if I've answered your question yet, but I will say this, is that I feel like being a Texas theater educator made that room so much easier.
Sure.
Like, so much easier. Like, I felt so in my element. Like, walking up the stairs, going to the room, I had knots in my stomach, doubts in my head. I walk in, the panelists are there, you know, and they have an empty chair for me to sit in to do my directing. They're like, yeah, you can sit over here. I was like, I'm not sitting. I don't know if I could sit. But then you're working with 2 actors, you don't know what they know about the script. And I was the second person to go, so I have no idea what the person just did with them or taught them or anything like that. So all you really have to fall back on are the things that you already know and understand. And if I can say one thing about Texas Theater, about UIL, is that they force you to ask a lot of questions and to really evaluate like your process and the whys and how you get to these moments and things like that. And so like being in that room was the easiest part of the entire process, was that 30 minutes of directing. And then I'm gonna tell you, it was kind of amazing, like giving them a note and it changing immediately. Like that shit does not happen in high school.
Right. They were directable.
Yeah, like
to say the least. Yeah.
like right then.
Right.
It was awesome.
Is there anything that you're going to regret not doing
Like while in high school?
as an educator? Like, you know, you got 3 weeks left as we record this. Is there anything that you're going to look back and say, I wish I had done X, Y, and Z? Or no regrets?
I'm going to say the answer to that is no. And I think that's why I'm okay with leaving.
Yeah.
And I want to say on record, loud as day, that winning state has nothing to do with those no regrets.
Right.
Yes, I am extremely competitive. And yes, winning was great. Winning would have been great. But when I sat down with Dr. Creer to do my interview to go to Bush, I listed out goals. And 2 years ago when I told Miss James that I had 12 to 24 months left, it was because I had already accomplished the goals that I had literally sat down in my interview with Dr. Creer with and told her about. And because I felt like I had done what I had said I was going to come to do, it makes it easier to walk away from the job. Not easy to walk away from my kids, but definitely easier to walk away and get into something new where I get to make new goals and have new challenges and go on a new adventure. Yeah.
Would winning this year or any part of this experience this year, did that or would it have validated you as a playwright?
No, the win.
Do you not care?
Okay. So winning would not have validated me as a playwright because I can't put my validation in 3 judges.
Right.
Like whatever their scores they give me, you know, like that 276 or whatever it was. I remember sitting in the audience, and audience after audience after audience as we went on this journey, and watching the way it was received was the only validation that I needed. And not as a playwright. Again, as a director, as a storyteller, because honestly, after we wrote it and I started the directing of it, I had to let go of the playwright part.
Could you let go of the directing part of that play? I mean,
like, could I let somebody else direct this play? Yeah. I could. I don't know if I'd come see it. But also, I think that's a normal feeling amongst playwrights. Also, is like I don't know if
Don Nigro, that's for sure. He loves to go watch his own stuff.
I think I think that I couldn't watch it so soon.
Right.
But like people have asked me over and over this year. Honestly, they're like, "So how does it feel watching a play of yours on stage?" And I think I kind of throw them a little bit when I say that I haven't thought about being a playwright as much because I had to direct it.
Right.
And so in order for the play to actually be good and succeed, it deserved the same process of every other play that I've directed. And so I had to pretend that the playwright wasn't in the room. Like my kids, we had this issue after Zone. Zone's performance was fine. It wasn't spectacular, but it was fine. But we had a come to Jesus moment where I was like, you guys, like, what's going on? And they were like, I think the issue is that the playwright is in the room. And so when you give us direction, we think it's because you know what you want.
Right.
And I'm like, y'all, I quit playwriting a long time ago.
Right.
Like, I'm directing this thing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I was like, this is not about.
Thank you.
This is not about what I wrote, like what I was thinking as I wrote. I was like, I need you guys to make choices. I need you to find the thing. I said, y'all are smarter than me. I need y'all to find the things about your characters that I haven't thought about. I need you to link these things together that I never noticed.
Right.
The same way y'all do when we do any other show. And we kind of had a turning point in our process at the moment where they felt like they had permission to kind of see things how they see it,
Right.
versus like she wrote it so she knows what she wants.
So this may be kind of a dumb question, but if you were to do this again, would you have used a pen name, and pretended that it wasn't your play?
No, and not on no ego shit. I like seeing my name, although I love my name. Not on no ego shit, but more so on the fact that like I genuinely stopped thinking about because in my mind, if I thought about
But
it,
they don't know that.
yeah,
I mean, the kids didn't know that.
they didn't know that.
You had to alert them.
Yes, because I didn't. It didn't cross my mind that they would feel like
Right.
they couldn't have ideas and choices.
Right.
But like for me, I just knew that if I continued to be the playwright through the whole thing, I was just going to continuously judge the story.
Right.
And I needed the story. And so when we started table work was when I decided whether or not this story was even good. Like if there was something to dig into and conversations to have and opinions and arguments that we had over former plays, then I knew we had something on our hands. Because it's a straightforward story. Like there isn't very much that's complicated about it. Like it's very straightforward. And I was like, is this too straightforward? Let's see. Like, did I give all of the answers already? Let's see. Because I wrote it in like 4 days.
Right.
So I didn't know what this was going to be, but like it created some really great conversation and some really great questions. And it was at that point that I was like, okay, so I can step away from this as a playwright so that I can direct the thing. Because I didn't want to, the only things that were like adjusted from the time we really started table work, like I think we did like one more set of rewrites, and it was like little wordings here and there because my kids are like, I wrote for 17-year-old boys and they're like, yeah, Miss Miller, like this lingo, and I'm like, oh, that's not cool anymore. Thought I heard y'all say that. They're like, yeah, in 2018. I'm like, that wasn't that far ago, guys.
Has competitive theater made you a better director, or has it not really changed how you would go about the process?
I think competitive theater, I don't think the competitive part of it, I think the educational part of it has, because I feel like there are notes that I've gotten in the past that, as it pertains to storytelling and understanding story, that are like staples for me now. One of the things, I remember Philip came, and this is when he was still working here, and he clinicked Water by the Spoonful, and he took a picture during transition moments, and he showed me the pictures, and he was like, this is during a transition. As an audience member, I'm watching her walk away, and I'm watching him walk away, so I'm not getting story from anybody. What's holding me there?
Right.
That has stuck with me since then. Like, now during a transition, if you need something to hold on to, there is going to be something there for you at all times. When I think about just like building up to moments and how important silence is sometimes, like those are just things that like every so often I'll get a note about like clarity, and I really wanted this part to take time, and I really needed levity at this moment. And so those are just notes that I've gotten throughout the years. They're just notes that I've gotten throughout the years that I think made me a better storyteller.
Right.
I think that there are things that I do naturally that I can't explain, like ideas and things and the way that I see things that I can't explain, that I'm just like, ooh, thank God for giving me that. But as far as like being better at it, being able to like actually put those things into context.
Yeah. You just talked about transitions. It's like the only thing I took away from when I worked with Pam Wilson.
Yeah.
She would always like really knock home the idea that the transitions are what's going to be the difference between a successful play and an unsuccessful play.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've seen, I'm not throwing nobody's names out there or any companies, but I've seen some plays, professional plays.
Yeah. With like beautiful scene work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they completely dropped the ball.
Right.
In transitions. And when I say completely, like, and my kids will go with me to see shows all the time. And I feel like I've ruined their theater watching experience. But that is one of their number one things, is like, you can almost tell how great a play is going to be by how they handle the first transition. I also saw a play this year where in between every scene they closed the curtains and the audience clapped. And there was 9 scenes per act, and there were 2 acts, so the curtains closed 18 times.
Off the record, we'll find. I want to ask you what
It was amazing. But I was just like, wow. This play is now 20 minutes longer.
Yeah. Hey, if it's a pretty curtain.
I'm cackling.
So are you, because of the education side of things, when you go off to do professional work, right? Are you going to be worried that you're directing as an educator? Or do you think that'll kind of get washed away a little bit? Or?
I think that I have decided that that is my directing style.
Okay.
When I worked with, when I did Pipeline, and that was with professional actors, and we did a podcast, and people were they were asking them questions about me as a director as I'm sitting there, me not knowing but a couple of the people were like, I love the way that she talks me through getting to where I need to be when I don't know something or understand something. You know, she has a way about her to get you to understand without giving you answers. And I'm like, that is definitely who I am as a teacher director. And so I don't want to run from it. Like, I want to embrace it. I want people to work with me and leave feeling like they are better artists. I don't want to be that director that's just like, stand over there, go there. Yeah. Like, some of my kids that have gone on to universities or working with other people, they are looking for this experience again, right? They are looking for the feeling of a process like this again, where they feel like they're still making choices. They feel like they're being validated. They feel like they are accomplishing something when it's all said and done, right? That they started here and they landed somewhere else. And so there was a growth that happened during that process, and they felt like walking away from it that they were better for it. Right. And so I that's the kind of director that I want to be, where people are like, you should go work with Destyne Miller. Like, I feel like that's going to be a good look for you. So you're transitioning out of education also, aren't you?
Yes.
So what's next for you?
I'm going to be that interviewee that just answers with one more question. I don't want to name names, but I've had a few. Going into, as I've been telling people, leaving the classroom, not education, right? The fact that I'm following up the dream job as an educator with the dream job as, the theater industry dream job for me, and that it's marrying those two worlds together. Is great.
That's why you were a teacher for 10 years?
They're also 13.
Really?
Yeah, but 13 broken up.
Oh, yeah.
So, which I'm struggling with a little bit because my mother had such a thing with the number 13. Like, if it added up to 13, like if she were staying at a hotel and it added up to 13, she'd get a different room. Like different things like that. And so, like I told Jennifer, I was like, there's a part of me that wants to teach one more year. Not because I want to teach one more year, but because I can't do 13 years. But there's
well, I mean, if you want to be honest, like, your last couple of years in Fort Bend, did you actually teach?
Girl, if I want to be honest, I probably only taught 7 years.
So then technically, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
You did not teach for 13 years.
Well, I got him up in front of the entire school a couple weeks ago, and to introduce the Thespian Club. This is for everybody. And I was introduced by my main star student, and he says, Mr. Blake Miner, the technical theater director, and my Shakespeare teacher. And I walked up and I said, teacher is kind of a word we use lightly around when describing me. And this is in front of I had already told him that I was leaving.
Yeah.
So I didn't really care. But I got there's no backlash because people like me as a person. Am I the most effective teacher? No. But like you said earlier, it's not always about effective teaching of the content. It's also effective teaching of is the kid enjoying school? Are they better in other classes because you brighten up their day?
Yeah.
So
I feel like you're about to have the best job. I feel like a lot of theater educators not only did we envy you when you went to private school and we're having lunches that we could never dream of, but you're also about to get a chance to do the part that you love while leaving behind the part that we don't love, and that's the politics of education. Do you think you're getting out at just the right time because of all of that also?
Well, politics of education are a lot.
But even more so theater
they're
education.
A lot
right
more
now.
in private school. I wasn't allowed to do Almost Maine this year.
Yeah.
It's the most highly produced show in the country, in high schools.
Yeah.
And my school didn't allow me to do it. And they didn't allow me to do it for political reasons, for beliefs. I'm very self-conscious right now about how much chicken I leave on the bone.
Because I'll take your black card.
Right. I know. I won't be allowed to show up to the cookout.
Not that you won't be able to show out. We won't let you take a to-go plate.
You're gonna limit my portion. But anyway, so that was eye-opening, right? And there was a part of me that maybe manifested the idea of me leaving off of that, because I just thought about how much of a struggle it was to get that play in front of people, and now all we can really do is fluff.
Yeah.
Right? And fluff theater has its place, but it's not all you should do.
Correct.
And that bothered me, So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of politics. I mean, but it's getting even worse. I mean, maybe it's a little bit the state of Texas. Maybe it's a little bit where the country is right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit residual from COVID and people are sensitive right now. But if all I have to do is go in and just support a show and not make decisions for the show, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm concerned with where Texas theater is going. Just the other day on Fort Bend ISD Concerns,
Oh boy, I forgot about that.
a parent made a big deal about a moment in a show at Clement's, and apparently there was like blood on a girl's chest, and another girl, or like the girl like wiped her finger in it and licked it, and then stated something about it being period blood. And this parent was like, we don't allow our kids to watch R-rated movies. Why would we let them do this in a play? And people were like, that wouldn't even make a movie R-rated. But it's the idea that because something makes you uncomfortable, or because it's something that you disagree with, that it should be stopped, versus you like walking out and just being like, oh, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to I didn't like that
Social
versus...
media. I mean...
But more than that, it's like, when I think about KVISD, for instance, right now, they're book banning, right? Like, that's seeping into theater.
Oh, yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the right administration, if you don't have the right parental support, if you don't have the right community, then as an artist, as an educator, as you being a person that pushes, that helps create artists, future artists, like, who are now going out into a world where they're going to have to create art.
Right.
Like, it limits you as an educator. As a technician.
Do you think this is cyclical? Do you think
Yeah.
this will, like, in 10, 15 years, not that we'll get these things back, but the mindset will change as to...
I mean, if anything we know about theater history, the conservative side of
back.
people are going to swing the pendulum way too far. That somebody is going to stand up and fight it with
retaliate a little bit.
And they're going to swing it back
Yeah.
the other way. And that's what's going to happen.
I also think politics tire out. Like, they get lazy.
Yeah.
They eventually get lazy. So, like, whatever side of the fence,
Yeah.
you know, it always like, all right, we've been fighting for 10 years now. I'm tired. But maybe, I don't know.
I just think that we need to, instead of stopping art, there needs to be discourse.
Right.
You know, if we're going to send these kids, especially these high school students, out into the world and expect them to not just survive, but to not only thrive, but also contribute and continue to keep the ball rolling, they have to be able to see something that they don't like, have a discussion about it, and be okay in not liking it, but be okay also in somebody else still wanting to pursue that art.
Right.
And I think that starts on the education level. That's what I love about UIL. I mean, with all of its issues, you can go to a contest and see all different types of theater, and you don't have to like them all.
Right.
No, at State, people loved our show, and I'm not saying the judges didn't, but I'm saying that there were differences of opinion, and all of those things are okay.
Yeah.
Like, that is completely and utterly okay. Like, we had parents that were upset, as they should be, because it's their kids or whatever. But I'm like, there were 8 great shows today.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily 8 shows that maybe you understood, or 8 shows that you liked. But you liking a show doesn't make it good or bad.
Right. Right. It's good or bad to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But that's a you thing.
Right.
That's not an everybody thing.
It's also my baby's in that show.
Yeah.
You know.
So of course
You've
it was
invested
great.
in it.
Of course it was fantastic. So like, That's another thing that I love about Texas Theater or UIL is that we are teaching kids to appreciate art for what it is. Like, I can take a group of kids to see a show, and there is one kid that's not going to understand a thing he just watched. There's another kid that's going to explain to him everything, be able to explain it, but also explain what they didn't like about it. There will be a kid that will understand it and be like, oh, those things that you didn't like were actually the things that I liked the most about it. But they're sitting there having a discussion about art.
Yeah.
But the people that have the biggest problems cannot sit and have those discussions.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I mean, if we're going to make a sports analogy.
I like sports.
If I'm going to make one. It's
Wait,
like
what sport?
any sport.
Okay.
You go to a sporting event, you root for your team, but you also recognize when the other team has done well.
Yeah.
You know, what is it?
I love LeBron.
But what's it?
But I can tell when Kobe was great.
But greatness recognizes greatness, or something like that. What is it? Yeah. It's that same idea of like, it's not necessarily greatness recognizes greatness, but you can recognize that there's a piece of art. You already did. You already did. But it's like when you go to state is different though. I mean, like, because state's different because you're at a level where everything is supposed to be good.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not always the case, but
There is
everything
the
is
expectation.
supposed to be
Yeah.
good. And going back to sports, it's like when you watch the finals of something, you're like, these two teams should be equal, right? And they both should be good. That's not always the case,
Correct.
but they should be. Whereas like when you're at zone, district, by district, like, there are definitely some cream that rises to the top, and there's some the coffee filter that stayed in your drink that's at the bottom, some that just isn't as good.
I have a question for you, because you've seen a lot of theater as a contest manager.
Yeah.
Can you name 2 things that set apart the shows that are moving forward and the shows that are not?
You want the politically correct answer or the... Okay, so...
Minor wisdom.
I will say, going back to this, and this is true, the transition stuff, like the stuff that's not meant to be acted out, all right? Those, if you're sitting in a show and you don't realize 40 minutes just passed, and you're not watching the clock, those are the shows that you're like this year, Kempner, Last Menagerie,
was great. Stunning.
You did not. I thought I had just watched the entire 2 hours, however long the running time. I thought I had just watched the entire story because not only was their cut great, but everything just flowed. It was just watching one beautiful show.
Yeah.
And I will say there was another show that had a contest that I thought was one of the most gorgeous shows I've ever seen, and it didn't advance. So with that, the reason I bring that one up is because I also think there is a lot of political, there are a lot of issues with politics in UIL.
Yes.
This may apply to you a little bit. It applies to people like Stewart. It applies to maybe people like Natasha. I'm not saying these people aren't good at what they do, but at district, your show was good. It wasn't amazing. But I trust that you are going to make it amazing by the time you get to the next level. Not you in general. I just mean you, the
It's okay. Talk about me to my face.
No, but I'm saying is I think that adjudicators allow themselves to see a director and not see a direction, not necessarily see the play as is presented at that moment.
Yeah.
They want to trust that you're going to make it better by the next level.
Yeah.
And that can be a little frustrating because there are some really great shows presented at these levels that don't advance.
Yeah.
That on that particular day were better.
Yeah.
But because it's Stuart Savage, and because it's people with, Billy Dragoo, because it's whatever, Travis Poe, they are trusted to advance because their show's going to be better next time.
Yeah.
But it's not about next time. It's about that day.
Yeah.
And so that's always been a problem with me with One Act Play. And I'm not going to name names, but you and I, sat through a professional development with a director who at the time was not directing in high school, who said to us, a room of directors, that is a thing.
Yeah.
And my wife. And so that's frustrating. That's not to say that their show isn't eventually. You even said yourself, your zone was a good performance. It wasn't where it should have been. Not to say you shouldn't have advanced. I don't know. I wasn't there. But
I mean, it was good.
Yeah. but my point is, it's like, I don't know if you were the best that day. If you were one of the top 3 shows that day, you might have been. But if that 4th show was like hella good, it's like last year with Travis High School with Bet and Boo.
Still think they were wrong.
They had no.
I'll say that on air.
They had no history, recent history of success, but the schools they were up against did. And so I wonder if that worked against them.
Yeah.
And so that's what sucks about One Act Play that I don't know how to fix.
Well, on the flip side of that,
just gotta push it real good.
On the flip side of that, I feel like what I ran into, and now that I'm, I guess, leaving, I can say this out loud. I think the other thing that I feel like I ran into, there's no proof of this, really, is the fact that, like, I feel like a lot of the time, the shows that we do are compared to the shows that we've done in the past.
Right.
Like, I have a lot of people tell me, like, I am such a fan of your work. I love the shows that you put on. I love what you do. And so then, like, when we go into contests, I'm not thinking about necessarily the other shows that we're up against. I'm like, I need to make sure that we're as good as we were the last time somebody saw us, because I know that they're coming to judge this contest going, oh, Bush is in this one. I remember when they did, and that's because they won't have an impression of the show, because we don't do shows that have been done over and over and over again. We tend to be singletons on purpose.
Curious incident? Yeah.
Yeah, but we tend to be singletons on purpose. But because of that, a judge doesn't have other shows to base this on. They have all of our previous work to base this on. And so I feel like I am in constant competition with every past show that we've done.
I'm a mess.
No, you're fine. I mean, I've even had judges give me notes. And not in front of kids necessarily, but like if I talk to them privately, they'll give me notes and reference. I remember you did something similar in this other show, and it went really, really well. Like, I would like to see that type of, and I'm like, like, imagine competing with everything against everything that you've ever done.
Yeah, you're competing against you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know which version of me that is. I don't know which show that is.
Right.
I don't know which students those are. And yeah, that's really, oh my gosh, let me say this. Oh my gosh, while we're still here, let me say this. When I go to the UIL directors group and I see people talking about how they can't compete with schools with a lot of money and these huge sets, I just have to say that if you focus on great acting and good storytelling, the amount of money that you spend on your sets don't matter.
Yeah.
There's this idea that the shows that win and the shows that continue are because they have stuff. And I think the focus on what you don't have versus what you can do organically with what you have, like they're overshadowing that part with they must have advanced because it was pretty. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen because that shit actually, that absolutely happens.
Lipstick on a pig happens quite often.
It does. But at the end of the day, if you get the right set of judges that are doing the acting contest, then your acting and your story is going to outshine all of that on any day.
Yeah.
And because I think I've become like the queen of nothing on stage. You know what I mean? Like literally the bare minimum is what I like to work with. And there are people that are great at stuff. I'm not great at stuff, which is why I don't do it. But I do love story and I do love good acting.
Okay. I'm not questioning any of that. What I'm going to ask you...
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm kidding.
You've gone through... You said this earlier. You jokingly said it. That you've had like 150 tech directors in the short amount of time. Do you think that ended up helping you? In that you had to... You weren't able to necessarily rely on knowing if you were going to have someone there that was going to fill in, and not to say that, the tech directors you had were solid. It's just they didn't stick around.
Yeah, I've had, Jason is great.
And Kevin was great,
Kevin's my soulmate.
But it's your mindset of, it's not that I don't trust you, it's that I don't trust if you're going to still be here. And so you ended up kind of putting up a little bit of a, for lack of better words, a wall, which is ironic. But,
I'm going to say no to that. Mainly because
These are damn good.
And this they are. And this is more of a Kevin Rigdon thought process, right? Like, he used to tell us all the time, put shit in a box, and then he would come over to our box and just like take out all the shit that we don't need, and we're left with something really simple, clean, elegant, and necessary.
Yeah.
For me, anything that I have on stage is necessary. It's being utilized. It's adding something to the story. If we're not going to use it, get rid of it. And it may not be something that is huge use, but it could just be a color.
Right.
Like, for me, it has to be part of the storytelling. And if it's not justifiable, then I need you to get rid of it.
Right.
Because if it's not something that if it's not supporting the story and what my actors are doing on stage, then it's in my way.
Yeah.
And I am a firm believer that the story and the acting needs to take front and center, and the tech. And if it's a show that needs a lot of tech, then I'm great with a lot of tech. But it just needs to be that. Right. You know what I mean? But it should support what's happening so much that they feel inseparable.
Right.
That you didn't know you needed all of that.
Do you have that same mentality for your musicals?
Yes. Yes.
It's so tough. I say so tough, like I'm struggling real hard here. But it's as a lighting designer that understands and also went through the Kevin Rigdon School of Design. It's tough to explain to a director, this is, like, you have to tell me why you just said you wanted it to be pink.
Right.
What is pink doing right now?
Like, what does that do for
Right. And
Yes.
am I trying to light the stage or the scenery, or am I trying to light the actors and focus on the story and focus on your direction? Because if you're wanting me to make the set beautiful, that's fine. But that's I could take a picture of that, and that says nothing to me about the story.
Yeah.
You know.
This is why I love Jenna, my lighting designer, my girl right now.
My girl.
Jenna Hamaday, I'm going to say her full name
Yeah.
because she's going to school for lighting design, is fucking brilliant. Like, the girl is fucking brilliant. Like, when I say I love when she leaves, because I get to sit behind her board, and as I'm going through her light cues, I see even more so how brilliant she is.
Yeah.
And she is literally only limited by what she can actually utilize, what she can use. And that's why I'm so excited for her journey going forward. But I literally don't have to worry about lighting in shows. Because I know that
She's got it.
not only does she got it, but she designs. She thinks about it. When I think about We Are Proud last year, and there was a split scene where the white people were on this side, the black people were on this side, and she had them in like a purple and these people in like an orange, and then rain starts. And she starts over here and she just sweeps the stage in blue lighting as the rain starts pouring. And this is a freaking UIL show. You know what I mean? Everybody has the same 15 areas.
Right.
And everybody brings in their specials to do all of their cool lighting. And whoever's on the lighting board back there, pour them, because all they're doing is lighting area 1 and 6. You know what I mean? But like, not Jenna.
Right. That's what also drives me nuts. I'm finishing these.
No, please do.
Okay.
But she is her special. And she is fucking brilliant to just sit back and watch her do her thing.
That's also what in the UIL process, and this has nothing to do with UIL.
Yeah.
It's more about the director. When I contest manage and a kid walks in and starts to ask me about, are they allowed to separate the lights that are in the areas? I know I'm about to see a well-lit or artistically lit show. I don't know if it's well-lit, but it's artistically lit.
Yeah.
When I come in and a kid just like pushes up all the areas on the faders, and they have 2 cues, which is lights on, lights off. It's like, why aren't you teaching this? That's the point of UIL.
Yeah.
It's not that you should have a brilliant lighting designer doing their work, because no lighting designer is put in a situation where they have to do a show in an hour. They have to program a show in an hour, you know? I say you're not. Sometimes you are. But
Happened to us at State, actually.
yeah. But it's allowing your student, and again, this goes back. This is a
Full circle conversation.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Giving your student the ownership of trusting them to make those decisions, and sure, you can tweak a couple things and say, hey, maybe not this color here, maybe not that, angle there or whatever, but you have to give them the right to fuck up.
Yes.
Because they're literally not going to learn a single thing until they've been shamed almost.
Yes.
Not you shaming them, but like they've shamed them. They've like, oh my gosh, I could have made that better.
Yeah.
I could have done that better. And I always let my kids fall flat on their face. You have to.
You absolutely
And
do.
So I say that to say, like, it's good that it's sounds like she's done that, but she might have done it privately. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
We actually talked about this the other day because her first year really behind the lighting board was when everybody was competing in 2021 during the COVID year. And Kevin had her on lights, and every time we would go into a new space, she would have her light cues on her sheet, and she's like programming her lights with her head down, looking at her sheet, and she's doing this, and Kevin's like, Jenna, look up. Like, quit trying to program based on your sheet, and look at what you can see.
Yeah.
And she struggled so much that year because she was like, no, but this is what it says. And he's like, it's not about what you wrote down. That might not always, that's not going to be the same every place you go. You know, it's about what you see. And she had a really tough year. But that was the only tough year that she had.
Right.
And after that, Girlie goes, like, for instance, this year at State, we got there, and it was incidental.
You're my lazy Susan?
Yeah. It was an accident, but they didn't have our light cues programmed for us when we got there. And so they quickly did it while Jenna's in the booth. But her job when we get there is always to go through the light cues and adjust.
Right.
And she does that without us in place.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so she's up there, and I tell her, I'm like, you got like 25 minutes to do this because we need the other 15 to do our cue to cue. And so she's just up there like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I know she's up there being the genius that she is. And I love that she has the opportunity to, like, figure that out and become the lighting designer and even board op that she is. That's going to benefit her so much. But even then, it's like everybody has access at their site to the same things.
Yeah.
And so when people talk about like how much money is put into whatever show they have, like last year we had a table, 6 chairs, and like 3 crates, and that was our set. But like Jenna with the lighting,
Yeah, you paint the stage with that stuff.
oh my gosh. And so I genuinely think that for the people that do feel like it's about a bunch of stuff, a lot of the times I really think that what we just need is better training of directors in directing, and not necessarily for a UIL formula, but for storytelling, like for great storytelling. And I think that we could circumvent a lot of the issues of people feeling like they don't have enough stuff, but they feel confident in like their ability to put on a really good like show.
Well, it's like go ask the 1 through 3A schools how much stuff they've got.
Yeah.
You know, and the schools that make it to state religiously out of those schools. And mind you, I get that the competition's different.
Yeah.
But they're also still really good plays.
Yes.
You know, and some of them are being directed by people that just love theater, and sometimes, not to quote the Beatles, but all you need is that love. Like all you need is just. I'm serious though. But I'm like, you just need your kids to understand that you, the director, you're here to see them succeed and see them be the best that they can be, and then they're going to do what you want them to do. Yeah. But then also, like you just said, if you don't have the training in storytelling, then, you know, it's tough. But that's all it is really effective storytelling.
And also, like, listening. Because when judges talk to me, I really pay... There are a lot of things that they say that I don't take into consideration. No offense.
Well, they don't expect you to take everything.
Yeah, like design choices, things like that. Unless, again, it makes sense to me. Like, I'm not taking it into consideration. But as soon as they tell me that something in the story didn't make sense to them, or this lost their attention, or they needed this in this moment and they give me a good reason why and it gets my wheels turning. Those are the things that I really take into consideration. Being able to pick what is actually valuable to the story that you're trying to tell. And it becomes a really, really good learning and educational experience. It's just as educational learning what you actually need to take with you and what you have to leave behind. Like, that is like discerning what's important and what's not for you in your show. I think is just as important. And I know I'm about to say this from a very, very privileged place, but also not hinging your success on the advancement of your show and being able to take in what you've actually learned through the process, or if the people in the audience loved your show, like being able to take that. We had, like I said, we had parents all like upset about state or whatever, but I was at peace at 39:46 when our show ended, because people are on their feet and people are like crying and snotting and tears, and like that was satisfying. Did I want to win? Hell yeah. But that was so satisfying, because if we're creating art and art is for the people, then is it for the people or is it for those three judges? And if it's about the people, and if the people received what you put out, then you were successful. And that's what me and my kids genuinely took away from every contest that we've ever done, is like, this was a successful day of theater, because we gave people something to talk about and something to think about when they walked away from this. And if we advance, congratulations, we get to do this again. And if we don't, at least we affected like the audience that we had in front of us today.
Minor wisdom.